Thank you for joining me, Jo, and also a big congratulations for being awarded an MBE for service to education in the King's Birthday Honours List. Can you please let people know what you do and how long you've been working in the education sector for, please?
Thank you, James. I've been working in education in school business management and leadership for the last 15 years, with a particular emphasis on estates management. And at the moment, I work as the estates professional for the Boxing Academy, which is an alternative provision in Hackney. And I've also spent 2 years working as head of estates in a 8-school multi-academy trust, covering everything from roof replacements to drainage to science lab refurbishment. So a very varied role there.
So we'll jump right in with the first question, which has been left by Claire Jackson from Galliford Try. Claire asks, as someone that was previously a school governor and hopefully will be a school governor again in the future, I would like to ask, what do you think would be the most help to school estates professionals?
I think the thing that would be the most helpful to school estate professionals is we need to have a pipeline of premises staff coming through. We've got an ageing population in terms of our premises managers, and they've throughout the years worked in schools, gained a huge amount of knowledge and got lots of DIY skills, and we don't have that pipeline of people coming through. Now, I was recently honoured to have a tour of Lambeth College, where they've got fantastic facilities for offering decorating courses, joinery, plumbing, and they've also got a fantastic construction workshop which has been developed in partnership with a main contractor which offers bricklaying and plastering. And we absolutely do need to be encouraging our young people who are not looking to go to university that this is a really good career option.
Thank you. And this year's Education Estates will be offering 100 bursary places for those people that recently joined the education sector, coming out of education, or have left, say, the armed forces recently. So we'll be making those available, and people will be able to sign up via the website. Just following on from that question, Jo, is if you had 3 top tips for school estates professionals, what would they be?
My 3 top tips would be to join a network of other like-minded estate professionals, and there is a national network called the Trust Network, for which I am a coordinator, and basically this is for estates professionals working in academies. And what we offer is we've got blogs and articles on our website, we do monthly webinars, we have 2 regional conferences a year and a national conference, and we also have a presence at the Education Estates Conference. So it's really good to network with other people. My second tip would be to look at the Department for Education's Estates Management Competency Framework. This was launched in June 2023 and really provides a career pathway for those people working in premises management. And then my third tip would be to take every opportunity to upskill yourself. One of the easiest ways to do this is if you have a specialist coming to visit your school, might be looking at something like fire compartmentation, or if you've got a structural issue with roofs, for example, take the opportunity to ask them questions so that you can gain some of their knowledge. And that's one of the easiest ways to do that during your working day.
Thank you. You recently published the School Premises Handbook. What would you say are the key takeaways from that book for estates professionals?
I have to say that the School Premises Handbook has got a wealth of information in it with regards to all aspects of premises management. And when I was at the Trust Network National Conference in February this year, one of the delegates came up to me and said, I wish I'd had this book 10 years ago. And I replied to him, I wish I'd had this book 10 years ago. So there is so much that it covers in terms of preventative maintenance, managing and leading a team of professionals, and all the different legislation that pertains to premises management. So my top tip would be is you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You know, I wrote the book to share knowledge with other people. So sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and I certainly learned quite a lot when I was actually writing the book. So my advice to you would be have a look at the book and see, you know, whether there's something that you should be doing that you weren't aware of, because it really is a one-stop shop resource.
And I'll give Jo a plug here and her book. If you'd like to buy the book, it is currently available on Amazon. If you just type in the School Premises Handbook, it will come up, and do buy a copy and read and engage with all that Jo has written. So on to my next question. Over the next year or so, what do you think are the biggest challenges the education sector faces, and why?
So the first challenge, I think, is obviously our crumbling school estate. Obviously, there needs to be a huge amount of investment in our school estate to bring it up to a reasonable standard. but I don't lay all of this at the Department for Education's door. I think we in schools are a little bit guilty of wanting to do the nice to have things like science lab refurbishments and not looking at replacing our boilers or dealing with leaking roofs. So I think there needs to be a reprioritisation of how school funding is allocated in terms of at the school level, but also obviously at department level as well. So that leads on obviously to the funding issue of how we can fund our premises and our estates. There is never going to be enough money to do everything that we would like to do. So we really need to have a good options appraisal process in our schools to work out what our priorities need to be with regard to funding. And then I think the third priority and challenge is the recruitment of premises staff, which I've mentioned previously, and how we encourage people to see premises management as a career.
And on the flip side, what are the biggest opportunities in the education sector currently, and why?
I think one of the biggest opportunities is the fact that the Estate Management Competency Framework, and indeed my book, the School Premises Handbook, has actually worked to raise the profile of estate staff to a level that it's not been at before. So that is a very positive thing. I think the amount of free CPD that is available, both online and in person at conferences, is absolutely of benefit. And for academy professionals wanting to visit education estates, they can do that for free, which is brilliant. And then I think the third thing is just about working in schools. It's just so interesting, which is why I've remained in the sector for the last 15 years. The amount of information and experience that you can gain in your role and the varied days that you have every day, I think really are very interesting.
And you mentioned education estates a couple of times, and the sort of presence and profile that the Trust Network has at the event. And I know there's an area that will be dedicated for yourself and your members to network and engage with each other. But for your kind of peers, what do you think they would get out of attending an event such as Education Estates if they haven't been there before?
Education Estates for me is the flagship conference of the year. The reason why I love to go to Education Estates is the quality of the presentations and the range. It's the only conference I know where you can hear from higher and further education and be inspired by what they are doing, and have the opportunity to interact with main contractors, and also to speak to a range of exhibitors which have all been carefully curated. It's a great couple of days, and I would absolutely encourage estates professionals to attend the conference.
Thank you, and I believe you're delivering a couple of presentations at the event, and I look forward to attending those sessions. Can you share something about yourself that the audience may not already know about you?
Well, the reason why that I've just been on a grand tour of Europe is to go to my favourite architect, Frank Gehry's buildings. And the three that I managed to visit were the Louis Vuitton Fondation in Paris, built in 2014, Hotel Marqués de Riscal, which is a fabulous building in the middle of El Ciego, Rioja wine growing country, and then the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao. I absolutely love Frank Gehry and take every opportunity to go and visit his buildings when I can.
My next conversation is with Mark Doling, Strategic Development Director at eEnergy. What question would you like me to ask Mark during our conversation?
The question I'd like you to ask him is, if schools are increasing the amount of electricity they plan to use due to decarbonisation initiatives, such as installing an air source heat pump, what's the best method to calculate the electrical intake that they will need for their school?
Thank you very much for joining me, Jo, and once again, congratulations for your MBE, very well deserved. And we look forward to hearing and seeing you and your peers at Education Estates in October.
Thank you, James.